Hey guys, you probably heard about the new HDB cooling measures by now, which was implemented or rather introduced on about 2 days back, 11:45 p.m., which is kind of like I think 11:40 lah, around there lah. But it is kind of like a new government practice to stop you from reacting in time, because that's obviously what they want, right? To catch people off guard so that you don't game the system. You don't have time to really react, and most people probably won't be waiting every day 11:40 something to do something lah. That's why most people wouldn't have gone to bed, and they will have to introduce this and then let it take into effect the very next day. That's why if you look at the main two things that they changed lah. The first one, which is quite interesting because there are two different sides of it. One is they tightened the HDB loan limits down, the LTV. Last time initially, remember it was 90% last time. I think that was back in 2021 or thereabouts. Can't remember the exact year. But it was 90%, then it down to 85%, and then it down to 80%, and then now it's 75%. On the other hand, if those people who were borrowing bank loans, all along it has been 75% for those income too high for HDB loans, which are quite a special, crucial, significant group of buyers that are driving out the market, because these guys are the ones that actually they can afford condo, but for whatever reasons all sorts of reasons lah, they are not going towards the condo trade, which is no right, no wrong. They choose to stick to HDB side, and they have the income means, and they want the more mature locations, bigger units, or not, it really depends. And these are easily the $1 million houses, and they are the ones driving up the price. But how many percent of it is this? Still a very large percentage of the buyers? Later we will take a look at this, but the main thing you need to know is these two, 80% to 75%, which is in line with the bank loan side. Okay, then the other side will be the EHG. Increase in EHG, it's like an increase of 50% each lah for families and singles. Last time 80%, now 120,000. Last time 80,000, now it's 120,000. Same for 40 to 60,000. And then if you look at the interesting thing is that the amount of, I remember last time when I first buy a HDB, that was back in 2016 probably, I can't remember the exact amount, but I think it was like a maximum maybe $70,000. And I only qualified 50,000 if I remember correctly. But now if you think about it, now the maximum amount of grants has increased super drastically, which in today's terms is to bridge the gap between the income gap and the basically the income gap is to address the income inequality gap lah. That is the main aim of the government. But you look at how sizable the grant is, and this in a way will drive up the prices. I feel, according to the recent measures, I think it will drive up the prices for those on a lower quantum, because these are the guys that has a lot of eligibility for the low incomes. Obviously they won't be the ones that can afford $1 million houses, because to qualify for the 200 plus, your income must be of that certain level lah, which is quite far away from those people that they will usually be the ones being able to afford $1 million house, unless they are getting all sorts of jobs but actually they have a lot of money. Then they game the system, which hopefully we don't see this kind of case. Hopefully my bias are not that kind, but I'm pretty sure there are people like this, and these are the people that are receiving a lot of grants. They are the ones that may drive up the market for the lower end. But on the other hand, will this actually crash the market? I highly, in my opinion, really don't think so. It's probably going to hinder a little bit. It's going to cause a knee-jerk reaction, but it's not going to be a long-term hindrance to growth in property prices, especially for this kind of high quantum HDB, because these guys are usually the ones, most of them, not all, most of them are the ones that are downgraders. They have money from parents, money from whoever, we don't know, but they have a lot of cash and they don't mind splashing it. And these guys, they don't really have to, they may or may not have to max out the loan. Even if they don't get to max out the loan at 75% of the price that they get, because of the sheer amount of COV in such cases, they will be easily able to fork out the cash. Like I said, through whatever means, we don't know, because there are all sorts of ways that people have income or maybe have savings from the few sources that I mentioned. But I really don't think that this is going to hinder them too much. It's probably going to cause a shock to the market, and perhaps cut off those like a mid-high group of people that are looking at easily over $1 million they can afford, but they were maybe looking at the HDB loan, and then it's like, now suddenly HDB loan is the same as private loan. For now, they probably still will be taking HDB loan if they can do qualify. After all, the HDB loan ceiling is still decently high. I wouldn't say very high, but it's still like a $14,000, which is quite decent now. I wouldn't say it's low at all, and it's definitely super high, but it's decently quite high, and these guys will still be able to afford. Alright, and then message is clear. This one, in fact, if I remember correctly, okay, I just had this interesting. So this was the one. This appeared in my IG story actually. Okay, why am I showing you this? Because I remember I was looking at the National Day rally, and then this is this funny guy just why I wrote 没眼看蒙眼台啊 So for those of you you know. And then I mentioned that, is that a hint that we will always keep public housing in Singapore affordable for you? This was 18 August, and guess what? Suddenly it came out on 19 August, very late night, that all these things are taking into effect. In a way, I caught that hint, and then true enough, the very next day, this was slapped just before 12 a.m. So you can see that, well, maybe sometimes we kind of expected, those people who really observe the market, you kind of expected that this is coming. But if you ask me whether I know exactly, obviously not. I don't know. But this does not shock me at all. It's more like, okay, if this is finally happening. And then, of course, the very same night, that's why I didn't post on the same night, because the same night we were so busy flooding, informing clients, or rather some clients who are concerned or just curious. We are having quite a conversation until I remember that night it was very late. My brain was in a way kind of fried because of, or rather my thumbs were the one actually being fried because of all the constant typing. Now I have thumb problems, serious thumb problems. So, but it is what it is. So these are some of the things that you may want to take note. Like the minister says, this is to encourage more prudent borrowing, dampen the demand, which we really don't think the higher end resale market is going to be very, very affected. And like what they say, nearly 9 in 10 borrow at LTV ratio of 70% or 75% or less, mainly because of when they buy the house, I wouldn't say they fork out a lot of cash unless they take bank loans, but they have most of them have quite sizable grants, especially let's say you have like things like the first time the CPF housing grant, and then the proximity housing grant, and then you have this and that, all the grants. It can easily, and then also CPF, if they use HDB loan, it will be flushed down to, if let's say they keep the $20,000, if they work for quite a while, they will have quite some CPF, which will result in LTV ratios easy of 75% or less, and which is why these stats, I believe that it is true. The remaining are borrowing at 75 to 80% high, which is not exactly very, very insignificant. And these are the guys that are disproportionate. So you can see the word is disproportionately buying up the larger flats, which are driving the market. But are they representative of the majority of the market? Then this is where sellers and buyers need to have that. They need to patch the gap, because sellers tend to have recently $1 million HDB has already hit 1.7 plus already. So my flat is gonna be easily $2 million soon, or I can at least sell 1.5, right, 1.6, right? But the buyers are definitely cautious. They want to buy a house. They are cautious. They may want to bid higher, but not many of them, because we have seen on the ground, even $1 million listings, we do have quite some inquiries, but the genuine inquiries, those who are willing to fork out for all these houses, how many of them are actually like that? That's why we don't just look at the outliers. the proportion generally still lies mostly in those that are under $1 million, because if you look at the sheer amount of volume that is being transacted, a few hundred CS are $1 million flats, but how many others are actually sub $1 million? That is where people really need to look. And these are certain things that, certain large major events are coming. We don't know exactly when, but we are kind of expecting these other things that are happening, because they need to control the market. If not, something not so nice is gonna happen. Anyway, these are the things that my clients will know lah. But it's not nice for me to be sharing all this here. But anyway, these are the group that are transacting 20,000 to 60,000 or even higher. To them, COV is okay, not pay law. I can afford to pay as long as I like. This cooling measure is meant to tackle the higher end of the market, but I really don't think it's gonna be too impactful, if not even impactful at all. Fourth set of cooling measures since December 2021, so it was end of 2021. I didn't mention 2021 right just now, so hopefully my memory is not that old already. Over the first half of the year, rose 4% across all buyer groups. And then high profile of, like what I mentioned just now, it will influence market psychology, because when people see new high, they will think that my house is going to be selling higher. But you also have to see the case, because certain houses, some people like to use, or maybe my recent neighbor transacted whatever, let's say maybe 1.2, and then last transactor was like last transactor before that was 1 mil. You need to look at how renovated it is. Some people, super original house, they want to command the same price point. Is it realistic? That is something you have to be more practical about lah. Of course, you can just list your house, go try your luck, but what are the chances? That's the important thing that you need to know. So flats exiting the $1 million mark is only 2%. Mainly all these special ones, they are looking to dampen demand, encourage prudent borrowing. Ultimately, guys, think about it. Yes, HDB eventually is going to go up. Eventually it's going to be more expensive over time because of inflation. But ultimately, it is still labeled as public housing. It is meant for people to stay. It's not meant for speculative purposes. And when certain events are coming, then this is going to become a very sensitive issue. If you look at this chart over here, this is the HDB chart. Over the past few months, this is, if I'm not wrong, this is August. We are only 22nd into August. This is not full yet, but you can see quite a lot of transactions. Maybe all are rushing before the Hungry Ghost month, or whichever it is. But this red line is where the 15-month cooldown period for the downgraders are, and you can see a significant surge. Maybe for now it's a downtrend, but we don't know how long it's going to last. Maybe it's going to be like this, after that it's going to be like this, after that we don't know, but we just look at what we're able to see. This is a very considerable increase, which is very likely due to the 15-month pass already. Those downgraders, they have a lot of truckload of cash, especially the property downgraders. They don't want to settle down, especially the elder one. They don't want to settle down for a 4-room flat. They want to settle down for something bigger. Then these are where they unleash. They have full cash to them. You want to lower my LTV, it doesn't matter, because I'm not even taking loan. So I think the government's intention is good, because ultimately, like what they mentioned a lot of times before, public housing is meant for own stay. But if they really want to subdue this market, something more harsh has to be done. That's in my opinion. But like I said, everything I share here in my channel is always my own opinion, doesn't represent anybody else's, but should feel free to discuss as below. So that will be all for the cooling measures for HDB that you see recently. If you have any questions, you need my help looking at the market, then feel free to DM, PM, whichever you call it. The number is as below. Alright, see you guys. Take care. Bye bye.